Savage Kitchen. Today we are making one of my favorite all-time desserts, tiramisu. My pop's family is Italian, Sicilian, and tiramisu is something that as a kid and to present day is always a family favorite. I was inspired to do this on Savage Kitchen for two reasons though. One, tiramisu traditionally does have booze in it. It usually either has a Marsala wine or rum, but I think we need to make tiramisu with Mr. Black. I'll get to why in a few minutes. The second inspiration I had for this was actually Martha Stewart. I have nothing but the utmost respect and admiration for Martha Stewart, genuinely. But I saw her post a tiramisu recipe that listen, there are no rules around food, but don't with tiramisu. There was crunchy things in it. My Nana would be very upset. So really, I'm doing this for Nan. Nan, this recipe is for you. Also, I don't want to tick off Martha Stewart because I'm pretty sure she could just call up Snoop and have me killed if she didn't like this. So I deeply apologize. But tiramisu as a dessert is incredibly simple. There's no baking involved. There is some egg cracking. Secondly, the flavors in tiramisu are some of my favorite. It is a coffee flavored dessert, hence the use of our coffee liqueur. You could do a non-alcoholic version of this. I've seen a lot of recipes where like, if you want to make this kid friendly, omit the booze. Not rolling my eye at kids, but I am rolling my eyes at the fact that like, why do you have to omit the smallest amount of booze from a dessert for a child? I mean, maybe there's a reason you do that, but it's not going to get them drunk. This recipe isn't going to get you drunk. It is, however, a little bit warming when you're eating it. It's boozy, but not overwhelmingly so. This is delicious, comforting, silky, and I'm really excited about it. So let's get into it. First things first, let's go over our ingredients. We are going to be using 6 eggs. Fresh eggs are important here. 2/3 of a cup of sugar, high quality mascarpone. Also, you don't pronounce it mascarpone. That's how me and lots of people from the Northeast pronounce it. It's mascarpone or mascarpone. It is important to use a high quality mascarpone here because there's a certain texture and, for lack of a better term, dryness to this. For example, this brand, the Bella Gioso, versus Whole Foods brand in particular. Yes, I'm calling out Whole Foods. I tried to make a version of this with the Whole Foods mascarpone. No, it's too liquidy. It doesn't, you're gonna need this to hold up. You'll see why at the end. So I definitely recommend a high quality mascarpone for this. And if you're unfamiliar, mascarpone is similar in texture to a cream cheese. Don't use cream cheese. I'm just saying it's similar in texture. And is very mild in flavor. It very easily takes on whatever flavoring you add to it. So in this case, coffee. Then you're gonna need some ladyfinger cookies. It's important to get the crunchy kind. There's a couple of different kinds of ladyfingers. You could also make your own. Martha makes her own because she's amazing. Please don't kill me, Martha. But if you buy them, like I do, make sure you get what are these called? I think they're Savoiardi. I'm also probably mispronouncing that. But make sure you get the kind that have a little bit of crunch to them. They almost taste, quite honestly, like a stale cookie. They're not as hard and dense as a biscotti. They're like a dried out sponge cake, basically. Trust, this is all gonna come together in the end. It's gonna be delicious. And then the final ingredient is really just a topping to our finished tiramisu, and that is cocoa powder. So our first step is that we are going to take 6 egg yolks and beat them with sugar. And after my egg cracking debacle of 2K21, some friends of mine got me a handy dandy device to help me separate eggs. So this is my first time using it. Thank you, Tom and Scott. Let's see if this works. Okay, success so far. Ah, no, god damn it. Why do I have such a problem with eggs? Okay, I can fix this. Seriously? this. Not so sure about this one, guys. Let's give this one more shot of going through here. Okay, stay, just stay. Ah! We're making an old school dessert, so we're going old school egg separation method. 1. Okay. 2. Yes, I washed my hands. We have 6 eggs. Barely. After you manage to get 6 egg yolks, you're gonna beat these egg yolks with sugar until they are lighter in color. This is gonna take a good 4 to 5 minutes at least. You're gonna notice the volume of the eggs increase, and there is gonna be a pretty dramatic color shift. You could also do this in a stand mixer if you don't want to stand here for 5 minutes. But it is important that that sugar is completely dissolved, and the texture then of that mixture is going to be very, very silky. So I'm about halfway through right now. You can already notice the volume increasing a bit, and it's a little bit lighter in color. But we're about halfway, a little more to go. That looks about right. So I just want to feel this. Oh, I actually do feel some sugar granules. This needs another second. Tastes perfect. Now we are going to whip in our mascarpone. There's a great article. I don't know, might have been Wall Street Journal. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it in the description below. But there's this great article about Italian Americans, specifically from New Jersey, New York. My family, I'm originally from New Jersey. And how we have bastardized Italian words and American words and kind of created this unique dialect. It's pretty accurate. Hence why I say things like mascarpone and digit. And there's a few other things. And so you want this to be cold from the fridge. You don't have to let this sit out before adding. And we're doing 2 8-ounce containers, so 16 ounces. Look, I can do math, of cheese. Also, this is a very easy recipe to have and or double, depending on how many people you're having. We're going to be going into this Springform pan, which is 9 inches, I think. I have no idea. I don't know. It's whatever Nordic Ware's Springform pan is. I think it's a 9-inch Springform. But this is also very easily made in just any sort of baking dish. You could do it in a large bowl, whatever you want. We're going into the Springform because we're going to be kind of fancy about it and put those lady fingers along the edge. So just kind of slowly work this in. You don't want to over whip it. But you do want it to be smooth. You want to get out any lumps. Texture is really the most important thing here. Well, and flavor. That's the other thing. The flavor of that Whole Foods mascarpone was garbage. I mean, garbage might be a strong word, but it definitely wasn't as mild and smooth and neutral as the Bellagioso. There was a marked difference in flavor. So again, high quality ingredients here. Beautiful. And now we're just going to add 1 tablespoon of Mr. Black. And if you're unfamiliar with Mr. Black, or the rest of my videos, many of which are incorporating Mr. Black, there we go. Mr. Black is a coffee liqueur out of Australia that has a vodka base instead of rum. So it doesn't taste anything like Kahlua. This tastes very much like black coffee or espresso. It is rich. Oh my God, just smelling it. It's really, really good. Do yourself a favor, get some Mr. Black. If you don't have Mr. Black for this recipe, I would not use Kahlua. I would use coffee, black coffee or espresso, and then either a little shot of rum, the Marsala wine, cognac even, but I would highly recommend the Mr. Black. So just 1 tablespoon to add a little bit of flavor to our cream filling. The real coffee punch is going to come from us soaking the lady fingers, but that's next. Okay, now we're gonna set aside this cream filling and work on lining our pan with ladyfingers. This might deeply appeal to those of you with OCD or might frustrate the hell out of you. We are using a Springform pan. You could absolutely do this in a baking dish, a bowl, whatever you want. We're just gonna be a little extra about it because I think it's pretty. In said Springform pan, we are going to line the edges of it with ladyfingers. As you can see, they're a little too tall. So we're gonna split these in half, and then we'll use whole ladyfingers for our 2 layers of sponge in between our cheese. Okay, so take your Mr. Black. Thank Tom Baker. And then you're gonna take, I don't know, about a 1/4 cup. I know I'm gonna use the rest of this. I'm gonna cut these down to size first, and then we're gonna give them a very quick soak. Okay, so the trick with soaking your ladyfingers is to be kind of quick about it. You don't want them to soak up too much of this because your end result's gonna end up being soggy. This is the other reason we go for the crunchy ladyfingers. So just like 1.5 or 2 seconds on each side. And then into the pan. All right, I'm just gonna get these roughly in place, and then as I fill the pan up, they're gonna stand up on their own. You want all of the cookies to be touching. You don't want them to be spaced between them because this really is sort of the frame for your cake. Okay, so now we're gonna line the bottom with the same thing. Don't worry, we're gonna drink whatever we don't use. So just a quick dip and into the pan. So you can see I've got some big gaps in here, but not quite big enough to fit a whole ladyfinger. So I'm gonna cut some pieces and kind of play Tetris here. I mean, don't freak out if there are some gaps, but in general, you wanna cover the pan. So now we're gonna do our first layer of our cream. And so we're gonna take half of this and smooth it over top. Roughly half, I don't know, we're winging it. We always wing it. And we're gonna just go ahead and smooth this into all the little spaces. Kind of push it in gently. Be gentle. Create a nice little home for the next layer. And do make sure it gets all the way to the edges. And this is where you can also straighten out any of your ladyfingers that might have gone astray. Oh man, I cannot wait to have this. Okay, next layer. And so this layer we're resting right into the cheese. So if you need to press them in just a touch, that's okay. And we're gonna do the same thing where we're gonna cover the whole space and try and fill in the gaps also. Honestly, this is a lot easier to do not in a Springform and in a rectangular baking dish. I just have to do shit the hard way. So now we're gonna take the remaining cream and do the top. You don't wanna go over the top of your ladyfinger edges. You just wanna come right up to them. So just kind of gently push as you go. And again, you can be a lot less precise if you are not a maniac in doing this in a Springform. So you want to get this kind of smooth. This needs to chill in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours, preferably overnight. The ideal, I think, is actually at least a day, 2 days. The longer this sits in the refrigerator, the more all those flavors get to come together and the more those ladyfingers soak up the moisture from the cheese. And trust, like 2 days is the ideal make ahead for tiramisu. So into the fridge we go. Through the magic of television, we already have our chilled tiramisu. Now, before serving, we're going to want to dust this with a liberal layer of cocoa powder. To do that, being very precise, I'm just gonna put a bunch of this in here and shake it out. Oh, it smells good. You could also add some chocolate shavings to the top of this. Some people do whipped cream. I don't think whipped cream belongs with tiramisu. Some people put whipped cream in their tiramisu. I also don't think that belongs. That's just me though. That looks perfect. Okay, moment of truth. We're gonna see if the Springform held everything together and hope this doesn't just collapse. We're good. Oh, wow. Honestly, this brings back really happy childhood memories. My Auntie Dee and Nan used to make cheesecakes with ladyfingers around the outside. So after dinner, having dessert, I would say I'd like 1 finger or 2. If you're feeling really bold, maybe 3. Also, by the way, if you want to slide this onto a plate, you can do a couple of things. One, initially, you can line your bundt pan with parchment paper, and then this will slide right off. Or 2, I don't know if I want to do it, you just take a long knife, go underneath your tiramisu, because we're basically just releasing this from the buns. Voila, plate. My friend Rose made this plate because she's just wildly talented at everything she does. So thank you, Rose, and thank you, Katie, for giving me this plate from Rose. So we've already taken our knife and gone under it once. Now we're gonna kind of go the other way, and this could be disastrous. We're just gonna have faith that this is gonna work. Push you over, there we go. Totally fine. Full disclosure, this one that's been sitting in the fridge for 2 days already, this is the photograph version of the tiramisu. I only had the Whole Foods mascarpone, and I can already tell the difference in trying to move this cake off, that this is more liquidy than it should be, which does not thrill me. I'm sure it'll taste okay, but I do really strongly recommend getting a higher quality mascarpone. But let's give this a try. Oh, this looks perfect. So, hopefully you can see there are our Mr. Black soaked ladyfingers. There's our cream filling, our cocoa layer on top. It's about to be a mouthful of joy. Look at this taste. Wow. It's just so good. Don't have much more to say about this. I just want to eat the rest of it. High quality mascarpone is a way to go. This, even though this tastes good, compared to the one that I just put in the fridge and the first version I made that also used the high quality mascarpone, this is bullshit. It's still good. I'm still gonna eat the hell out of this, but get the good cheese. Oh my god, this is so good. So, if you make this, please let me know. I know everybody, especially a lot of Italian families, have their own tiramisu recipe. Some people add whipped cream. Martha Stewart's a maniac and adds biscotti. No, whatever. But I'm curious to see how other people do it. This is how my family does it. I'm real happy about it. So until next time, cheers, friends.